what's up? This is will.i.am.
Hola amigos, soy Taboo.
Hola, it's me, Apple the App.
Thank you so much and welcome, guys. I want to start off by saying that I've always really admired your ability to provide music as a form of escapism, but also music that goes beyond entertaining. You've used your platform to inspire change with anthemic songs like Where is the Love and Big Love, and also throughout the years you've become agents of change. Who were those agents of change when you were younger that inspired you and you saw them take on these issues?
For music, Public Enemy, Boogie Down Productions with, the lead, furious, awesome, inspiring MC called KRS-One, and those are the groups for me, and I know, and I'm pretty sure App and Tab could add on to that really inspired us as far as like, if you're gonna make music that impacts for like festivity, also make music that impacts the heart, that makes you think about the times. And Public Enemy and KRS-One were definitely, my personal inspirations.
Not just hip hop, but also like Bob Marley with his rebel music, what he did with the music that affected change in his time period, to Marvin Gaye with Mercy Mercy Me and What's Going On. There's also been people that have been activists that have inspired me personally, like Cesar Chavez with the farmers movement, people like Russell Means. For me, it's not only music, it's also activism.
I'll touch on the sports part of inspiration. Muhammad Ali, he just didn't box, but really had a message and utilizing his voice to make change during his time in boxing. And of course, Bob Marley is one of the, an artist that we, as the piece we all look up to, that pushed the envelope and made changes, and through his music and his messaging.
To become an agent of change, I think the first step is recognizing that change is needed. And I ask because for me, it came a little bit later. I was maybe like 15 years old. And was born and raised in Chicago. I'm a product of the Chicago public school system. And so I was low income. Most of the students that I was with were low income. We were children of immigrants. But then my parents moved us to the suburbs abruptly when I was 15. And that for me became a reality check. And to see that I had grown up differently from people in the suburbs, the fact that they had more resources as students, it was just different. And that's when I realized, my first thought was, life isn't really that fair for everyone. So I want to know when that moment was for you.
When we started our first music group, Apple and I, we wrote songs like The World's Gone Mad. We were 16, 17 years old. And songs called Lord of the Flies, which is about police brutality. We were writing about these types of songs, at 17 years old.
When me and Will be, when we're dreaming and I'd get homesick, and he's like, don't worry about Apple. We're gonna make it, and we're gonna go back to the Philippines and perform in front of your family. So that gave me that motivation. And when I was able to go back home, I just started seeing the discrepancy of education and how many, I started seeing kids just like me growing up in the Philippines with no means of education and not even a classroom to study in. And, when I was able to go back home for the holidays and seeing that and experiencing that, it prompted me to, provide the same opportunity that I was given, being adopted, being a Black Eyed Pea. Now it's time to pay it forward and, provide that same opportunity to kids just like me from the country, the third world country I come from my neighborhood, and build structures and education.
Apple coming from the Philippines, being adopted by Joe Ben Hudgens, providing an opportunity for him to have a better life. Like our group was started, Black Eyed Peas was started on someone doing a good deed and affecting change in somebody's life. So we always credit, our journey to someone giving back and giving an opportunity. And I think for me personally, the aha moment for me was when I beat cancer. And I had been battling cancer for a minute. I did a chemotherapy for 12 weeks. And sometimes you find your journey to be one that takes you out of your comfort zone. And the comfort zone being, I went to Standing Rock and I was there with all the water protectors in the front lines, in the trenches, learning, absorbing, exchanging information and knowledge about myself, because I'm Mexican and Native American. So, just being a voice, not being there as a Black IP, but being there as a voice, as an Indigenous person that appreciates learning. It changed my whole perspective of being a voice. You just got to keep on believing in yourself and never stop fighting.
You guys have used your platform to push these conversations forward, which I love and truly respect. But what role does social justice and having these conversations in your very personal spaces, because one thing is doing it on a stage or in a song, but what role does social justice conversations play in your day-to-day life? Like, what are you guys talking about as a group, and not on stage, but off stage?
It's just like an expression. We're blessed to have creativity as our job. And then there's like, I want to make change. Like, you can look justice as like, I want, until government governs properly and it's equal, there's opportunities for you to make immediate a difference at a small scale and potentially grow to larger scale. And that is like, what communities do you want to go after and support? There's so many people in need. Like, just especially right now, you just drive down any street in LA and you'll see homelessness. There's immediate change you could do if you just try to come up with solutions to impact 5 people, 100 people. And so for me, I took on the accountability, responsibility, to go back to my neighborhood and give kids tomorrow's skill sets. I started that 11 years ago because I realized that technology was growing at a rapid rate, and it was going to once again be the reason why Black and brown people will be in struggling positions in the near future, right? So they're not teaching AI. 11 years ago, they weren't teaching computer science in the hood. 11 years ago, they weren't teaching robotics in my hood. 11 years ago, they weren't teaching AI and autonomy in my hood. So 11 years ago, I went back to my neighborhood, and now, I serve about 720 Mexicanos in my neighborhood, and Salvadorians, Latinos, in my neighborhood, teaching them robotics, computer science, and that's a different type of justice, right? It's a different type of justice. That's opportunity justice. That's, upskilling and giving folks the ability to fill jobs and create jobs.
Just like, in Philippines, there's so many creative kids. So I started a scholarship programs where we teach creatives entrepreneurship and business. So they can have a livelihood and, provide for their family. And of course, it teaches value on their creation, and we're an example. We're an example of someone that made it in the creative industry. So we just want to spread that love and really provide that opportunity and that outlet for kids in our community.
I want to ask you, we've also seen the civil unrest, but we've now seen the music industry step up in ways we hadn't seen them before. How do you see that movement where industry is stepping up, and What took them so long?
In 1939, Billie Holiday performed a song called Strange Fruit, right? This is 1939, when jazz musicians were writing about the lynchings in the South. So music has always done its thing to inform, and this was the first revolt song. Think about the strength it took for not only the singer to sing it publicly, but the record company to press it up. Think about the entrepreneur in that record industry person and be like, we need to publish this, release it, and play it on the radios or play it wherever it needs to be played, because people need to know what's going down in the South. Like, we cannot forget why we had a civil rights movement. The musicians helped the industry at the time, how small it was in 1939. Think about the people that had record players. It wasn't black folks. And then Motown, like, you know what I mean? Like, whoa, what is it good for? Absolutely nothing. Say it again. Because all the black people that are being shipped to Vietnam, like, you know, Motown did its thing. James Brown, I'm black and I'm proud. Like, what? Say it loud. I'm black and I'm proud. Like, get the what? Music is like, come on. That's all we had was music. Gospel music. That's all we had was music. That's what gave us the strength, was the songs. That's what Negro spirituals are. That's what, like, you know what I mean? You know, that's all we had to give us peace when we didn't have peace, was music. And then for some reason, you know, songs about black people killing black people became popular music, and we forgot about the true enemy.
Like, for example, the kid that said, I just want to live. What was that kid's name, Will? Remember you
Edron.
Yeah. So people like that you wouldn't expect the youth to be so activated and to stand up and actually utilize social media in a way where they're saying something and they're speaking from the heart, and they're hurting because, you know, most of the time they're being fed poison, and you have those people like that kid who says, you know, enough is enough. I want to say something other than what I hear and what's fed to me. And you know, those are the warriors that we need to stand up, and those are the kids and the youth that I feel like really affect change and are just like the prophets of like the Public Enemies and the KRS Ones and the Boogie Down Productions, and they just carry on that same frequency of trying to utilize music and art in a way to affect change or to make a statement.
Well, I want to talk about Where's the Love and Big Love, because that for me was an amplification of, obviously, Big Love was really hard to watch because of gun violence, but it was also just a beautiful song about love, right? When you guys reflect on those specific songs that became anthems, what was the type of impact that you all wanted to have with these two songs? And when you reflect on them, what comes to mind?
I wrote something about that the other day on a post that I posted during 9/11, because I reflected about that time period in 2001, and we had been recording our third album, Elephant. We started recording it in Northern California, and I just remember that morning, you know, Will coming in, telling me that we're being attacked. I'm like half asleep, not knowing what was going on. But to make a long story short, that whole scenario of seeing the planes going to the World Trade Center, and then us driving back to Los Angeles from Northern California. And then the next day, September 12th, we had to go on tour. So, you know, the sentiment and the feeling that we got while we were on tour in that time period was the lack of love, the lack of empathy, the lack of respect. There was a division, there was a separation. And we as a family kept on asking the question, where's the love within humanity? So that sentiment and that feeling turned into an amazing song and an opportunity for us to express ourselves and to do it in a way where, we weren't trying to write a hit record. It wasn't like, oh, we're going to make a hit record, it's going to be played all over the radio. It was more like, this is the feeling we have, this is what's happening, this is the social commentary to that situation, and let's just write from the heart. And we had been going through trials and tribulations at that time, because we were going into our third album, not really sure what was going to happen with our label and all that, and we were all kind of like trying to figure out what the next step was. And when we wrote that, we got a feeling of like, wow, this is something special, because after that, the whole world gravitated to that song, and it really affected change to the point. Fast forward to 2020 or 2019, every time there's something going on, people are requesting that song and singing that song during protests, during civil unrest. And it's like a blessing and a curse to have that record that we created in 2003 be the thing that everybody uses as a healing or as a therapy.
Yeah, and it's a blessing, like to be a fan of Bob Marley and hear songs like "One Love, One Heart, Let's Get Together and Be Alright," and then Marvin Gaye's "What's Going On," and you know what they mean to the times, you know what they mean to culture overall, you know how people gravitated to it. To think that you have written a song that gave people a peace of mind when it was chaotic in the world, to give people like a sense of hope and love and connectivity when there's disconnect, divide, and it feels like I can't believe that something that came from us is now everyone's.
Every like something that's like a disaster or a pandemic, we're always asked to do our duty, which is to provide music and escape. And with "Where's the Love," 9/11 happened, and then remix for "Where's the Love," shootings happen, and then "Big Love," he just keeps on going. And that's just our way of painting the picture, that's as a canvas on what's going on in their society. And it's just like I said, it's unfortunate that they keep on coming up the question, but those type of songs are the type of songs that we need.
We've always had one of those songs on our record, just because we come from areas where, neighborhoods and barrios and provinces where, things aren't always up to par, things aren't always celebratory, and you have to socially kind of let the world know what's going on. And on our first album, Behind the Front, we had positivity. On Elephant, we had Third Eye. The End, we had One Tribe, and then on the new album, we have News Today, which is about the pandemic and all the
No,
things that
Masters
we're
of the
suffering.
Sun, we had the whole entire album.
They're like,
if you look at Masters of the Sun, like Master of the Sun, there's this video called "Get It," and you would have thought like that's like police. We just like did like a collage and a montage of all police brutalities from 2013 to 2018. We just, living in street living is like that video is about just injustice. And then we have a song called Ring the Alarm. So yeah, so we there's always like Black Eyed Peas projects, we have to have a song or two about what's happening in the world. We don't feel satisfied. For every I Got a Feeling, there's a Where's the Love. For every Boom Boom Pow, there's a Big Love. For every My Humps, there's something that's you can't just
My
we
love.
just can't we just, yeah we
Instead of
can't
my
just do
humps, my
songs
love.
like that, you know what I mean? Like as goofy and simple and whatever you want to call My Humps is, even if it's like you think it's like it's not a record that's about, you know, diminishing or degrading the female. Like when I wrote it, it was like, you could look, but you can't touch it. If you touch it, I'ma start some drama. You don't want no drama. It's about like, yes, I'm sexy, but you don't have to treat me like an object. Don't you pull on my hand, boy. You ain't my man, boy. I'm just trying to dance, boy, and move my humps. Like, it's about like a girl that knows she's pretty, but doesn't want to be objectified and treated like an object. Like, it's, yes, it's cool, but don't disrespect me and come over here grabbing my wrist and grabbing my ass. I'm more than that. That's what My Humps is about. So even when we write songs like that, they still have some core purpose to it, you know? And Boom Boom Pow, like, that song is just about, like, the beat. It's like, you know, it's like, there's some songs that we like, yo, what's the subject of Boom Boom Pow? Absolutely nothing. The song, it's about how awesome this bass sounds. You like the way this bass sounds?
We said
That's what
boom
the
boom
subject's
pow
about.
like 100 times in that song.
And boom, boom, boom. Got to get that. Like, it's like, not everything has to be all deep. You don't have to go deep all the time. That's why the beach is beautiful. The beach got the shallow end, and then it got the deep end for the scuba divers. Like, which one? That's the Black Eyed Peas. We are the ocean.
Thank you so much, Will, Apple, and Taboo, for joining us on this extraordinary Latin Music Week.